How are you? All good? Good. Welcome. Today, this is the plan for my session, and you are totally welcome to totally disrupt it. So if you want to ask any question at any point, raise your hand. Someone will show up with a microphone. Wait for the microphone to ask your question so it gets captured for the live streaming, and I will try to answer. And this is the plan. So I'm going to give you a brief overview about the open web. We're going to see a few opportunities for monetization, and then there will be question time at the end dedicated to solving problems. As you may know, 27% of the web is powered by WordPress. And as you know from the program, today we're going to talk about WordPress quite a lot. So as said, 27%, one site every 4 is based on WordPress or is powered somehow by WordPress. These are 3 reasons that we discovered are at the core foundation of opening a new website. Sharing ideas, building an audience, and of course, making money. But with 3 reasons so broad and with so many websites, you can imagine that there is a broad scope of opportunities out there and a broad scope of questions that today I'm going to try to answer for you. But I'm going to start not today, but from back in the days when I was at this festival for the first time. This is not my first time here. However, it's the first time from this side, because in 2009, Livia and I, and Livia is over there near the door and on the picture, we were covering this event as media reporters. We were both working for a web TV. But going, again, back in the days, in 2005, I was a marketing consultant with no idea how to find new clients and with a lot of ideas that I wanted to share online. So I opened my own blog in 2005 when WordPress was only 2 years old, but was already the fastest way to publish your content easily. So I started my blog, and one of the first people that started interacting with me through comments was Livia, and in a few months we became friends. In a few more months we became reporters for a web TV, just by chance. And in 2009, as said, we were here covering this event, and we came back in 2010. And our model as reporters was very, very simple. We create content interviewing people. We put those interviews on our website, on our web channel. It was not YouTube like we know it today. So back in the days, the big celebrities on YouTube were dogs on skateboards and sneezing pandas. But today we have tutorials, we have news channels, we have a lot of content on YouTube. But back in the days, in 2009, 2010, when we were doing this, videos online were not that big. And that business for us was our venture. And the idea was we create videos, we publish videos, we monetize those videos through advertisement, and we make a living out of it. It didn't work out. The monetization was not coming. It was a model that was already dead when we started it. Even today, some more people are trying that. But for us, it didn't work out. However, the opportunities that the open web created for the two of us allowed Livia to find another company later on, working for Current TV, and then Twitter, and now Facebook. I had clients that took me around the world, and I moved to Vienna, Austria, working for a startup, and now I work for WordPress.com. And everything was coming from our blogs, more than our From TV channel. But we'll get there, because today we're going to talk about opportunities and what the open web can give you and can offer to you. As said, the presentation is mainly about WordPress, because WordPress for me was always the platform allowing me to publish my content, my ideas, and eventually also make money. So what is WordPress? WordPress is an open source software that allows you to publish in minutes. You just install it and you're ready to go. And WordPress is, as said, very, very present online and is trusted by the best. Most of the best websites in the world rely on WordPress. And WordPress is mostly based on contribution. As said, it's free software, it's open source, and there is a huge community of people that they contribute software, design, and many other skills to the project in order to make it better and better and better every day. So this is a picture I took, it was taken by Gianni Vascellari in Torino a year ago, exactly a year ago. And today there is a WordCamp in Torino happening, but a year ago there were more than 100 people contributing to WordPress, just there. But it's not just in Torino. More than 300 cities in the world have a meetup. People that they get together on a WordPress meetup and help each other and contribute to the piece of software and to everything that is around it, what we call the WordPress ecosystem. And they do that monthly at WordPress meetups, but they also do that every year at WordCamps. There are locally organized conferences about WordPress. And all of them do that on a volunteer base. They donate their time and their efforts and their skills to the project. So you may ask, I came here for opportunities and I heard about monetization, and you talked to us about volunteers. So what about the money? Well, I'm going to show you how to monetize in the free software ecosystem, showing you a few business models that are present in the WordPress ecosystem, that they work really well, hopefully helping you to find models for your business in the open web in order to leverage the opportunities. So, but to start a conversation about money and value, we first need to answer this question. Who owns WordPress? Is it owned by the people that they write the code, so the core committers or contributors? No. Is it owned by designers, the people that they actually build the theme that comes in front of you when you type a website based on WordPress? No. Is it owned by the co-founder, Matt Mullenweg, also founder of Automatic and CEO of Automatic and WordPress.com? No. Because the real owner of WordPress, it's you, all of you, all of us. Every single human being is somehow owner of any piece of software that is released under a public license. In particular, with a general public license, like the GPL, that is the one that was chosen for WordPress, everybody is allowed to use it, to change it, to improve it, to learn from it, to redistribute it, just with the agreement of keeping the license untouched, so allowing other people to take part of this process. So once that we know this, and we know that ownership is very different from the kind of ownership that we know. So you can also own a car, you can own a house, you can own a box of oranges, but they clearly work differently than anything that is not materialized and is released under a public license. Because when you live in a house that is yours, there is no vacancy for other people. You can keep people out. When you eat an orange, that orange does not exist anymore. So there is an intrinsic scarcity in the physical world that the open source and free software completely ignores. Free software does not know the intrinsic scarcity of physical objects. So different models need to be applied when we try to monetize in that space. That space also is very similar to the space of the information. The reason why this festival exists is it's about journalism, right? So also writing a piece of content somehow is more similar to software than just to physical objects, but we're going to get there. So as soon as we accept that we need to find different models, I'm going to show you how this model works. It's very popular. It's called Software as a Service, and the acronym is SaaS, and it's based on service. I know this presentation is in English, but many of you looking through the program have understood that I'm not English native. I was born in Italy in a town called Ravenna, and I used to live in that town for a long time, and when I was in that town, I was owning a car. Not that one, but a car. And when you own a car, that is needed when you live in a small town. You need to take the car in for service once a year, at least. You need to make sure that you refill the tank with gas. You need to keep the oil levels at the right shape. You also need to keep the papers in shape. You need to pay taxes. You need to have insurance. There are many things that you need to take care just for owning a car. And then the car takes you from point A to point B every time you need it, hopefully. But when I moved to Vienna, Austria, a few years ago, having a car was a burden, because not only I had to do all those things, but I also had to find a parking spot every night. And who lives in a big city knows how difficult that can be. So in Vienna, with €1 per day, you can have a yearly ticket for the transportation system, for bus, tram, and metro. And moving from point A to point B in a large city with a good public transportation system is way more convenient than doing that by car. So I gave up the car. And now I only have to think about having the ticket and what time I need to be at my destination, and all the rest is taken care of. And that is exactly how it works when you join a software as a service provider. So in this case, Jerry is one of the testimonial on WordPress.com, and she says that in the very moment they decided to get rid of the technicalities and just focusing on the content, doing a major rebrand based on WordPress.com was way easier. And this is a common story. So on WordPress.com, we can see that happening every day. Because as I said, WordPress, you download it, and then you need a server, and you need some infrastructure to run it. Well, on WordPress.com, we provide the infrastructure. So you just focus on opening your website that you can choose among many, many themes and plugins that are already there, and many features. And you can also pick how the site will look like. You can select if you want a website or a blog. And the entrance is free, because opening a blog there or a site is free. But then if you need extra features, let's say you want to have your domain name, you can have a personal plan. Or you want to have extra fancy design, you can have a premium plan. And if you need business focused features like SEO and advanced stats, you can go with a business plan. But who are the people that actually rely on WordPress.com? Who are our notable clients, let's say? Well, one is Steve McCurry. I'm sure you're familiar with this picture. And Steve McCurry has a blog on stevemccurry.blog that is on WordPress.com. Also, Carmine Gallo has a blog there. Carmine Gallo is author and trainer. These are 3 of his bestsellers, and he's on WordPress.com. And if we look even further and even on bigger experiences, we have large media companies that they totally rely on WordPress.com on VIP, actually, so on our VIP service. I'm sure you know these people, Time.com. I'm sure you know the New York Post and Quartz. Those are all based on WordPress VIP service, which completely takes away most of the technicalities that you have to deal with, and you just focus on the content that you have to publicize and you have to distribute. Is that the only experience of software as a service in the ecosystem? Of course not. There are many others. So as said before, WordPress offers you a theme capability, so you can customize the look and feel, but you can also amplify the scope of features that WordPress offers through plugins. So developers can develop plugins that they enhance the features of your site. And one plugin is called Jetpack. And Jetpack relies on software as a service as a model, also as a business model. So let's say that you want to have extra stats and extra SEO tools for your WordPress site. Well, Jetpack provides that. And all of that works with a backend that you don't have to deal with. So if you want to run stats, imagine Google Analytics. Imagine how complicated that is. You cannot run it on your own server. In this case, the WordPress stats, they run on our server, and you just use it. And this is totally for free. Then, when you start stepping into something further, something more complicated, something that also has a cost, like backup, because backup needs to be stored, so relies on expensive resources, Jetpack.com provides you something called WordPress, but it's a backup system. So just with Jetpack, you get your backup done, and works really, really, really well. Again, you start for free, and then you can upgrade the service. And what you pay is a service. So software can be sold as a service. But what else can be monetized in this ecosystem? Well, again, we go back to plugins and themes. And what happens? It happens that you can simply go to this repository of plugins and you can expand the possibilities of your WordPress site. And you can go to the theme showcase on WordPress.org and you can download themes for your site. Well, many of those plugins and many of those themes, they come on a freemium model or on a premium model on different marketplaces. So if you are a designer, you can focus just on designing the best front end because WordPress is going to distribute it for you. You don't have to think about the entire scope of the entire stack of technology that is needed to provide a website. You just focus on designing a nice theme, and other people will go to the showcase and eventually install it. And if you use a freemium model, you can monetize for extended features or look and feel. Same happens for plugins. So, all right, lunch is just done, so I'm sure many of you know that, right? After lunch, you want a nice coffee. And connected with coffee, there is another story of mine that happened to me, and in 2009, 10, or still, in those years, I met a person at a conference. And I remember it was just after coffee, after lunch, like this time of the day. And this person told me a story that really, really resonates. It's amazing. So in 1981, his father started a coffee business in Naples. You know, there are many, but their coffee business was interesting because from 1981 till 2004, 2005 was going pretty well. But then, for some reason, the business started to go very slow. And in 2006, they were this close to shut the door. So they were very, very near to sell everything, shut the door, and the business was over. It was a family-owned business, so the entire family was impacted by that. And the son, Luca Carbonelli, decided to try something new for his family. He took a box of coffee, put it on eBay, and went sold in a few hours. And then he did that again and again. And quickly realized that the open web, the web, was allowing them to open a new distribution channel. People were buying things directly. And this is the experience of many, many entrepreneurs that used to work in the traditional business, traditional trades, and they realized at some point, even if they never thought about it, that they were able to sell services online. So Luca Carbonelli now is a sensation, gets invited at conferences, at events, and his brand is ubiquitous. Caffè Carbonelli is online in the Italian marketplace, is super solid. And their web store relies on this, that is called WooCommerce. And guess what? WooCommerce is a plugin for WordPress. So WooCommerce transforms your standard WordPress site into a full-fleshed out e-commerce. You can sell anything on WooCommerce. Also, WooCommerce opens a marketplace. You can develop extensions for WooCommerce and sell them just to solve e-commerce related issues. So what happens? That developers in the WordPress ecosystem can just focus on what they do best. They work on a problem that they know well. They provide a technical solution to that problem. They package that solution as a plugin for WordPress, and every single WordPress in the world can run that and solve that problem. So website owners can simply use that plugin to provide that solution to their customers and to their audience. The same applies to designers. Designers can afford to just focus on the type of design they love and they are able to provide, and just develop a theme for WordPress, and every single WordPress in the world can run that theme. Every single site owner can take advantage of that skill. And this is amazing just by itself. So at the end of 2014, the co-founder of WordPress, during a conference, I remember it was WordCamp Europe in Sofia, he was in the middle of an interview, got a question, so how much do you think people should contribute back to the WordPress community? And he said, well, every single business, freelance, entrepreneur, designer, developer that makes a living out of WordPress or somehow is involved with creating value through WordPress should contribute back at least 5% of their resources. Does that mean that only developers are invited to contribute to WordPress? No, because WordPress is so big and the ecosystem is so spread that any kind of skill that you have can be contributed back to the WordPress community. If you are a developer, you can contribute code, you can review bugs, you can help prioritize issues in the track. If you're a designer, you can create themes for the community, or you can help other teams in designing what they need in terms of design work. If you are an expert in accessibility, you can contribute your skills to the community and make WordPress even better because it can be used by even more people than now. The accessibility team is doing a great job there because we are allowing people to just use something that for many of us is just standard. And then what happens to people like me? I'm not particularly good at code. I'm not particularly good at design. Yeah, I can translate a little bit between English and Italian, but well, there is space also for us. So as an event organizer, just going on make.wordpress.org, there are teams there that I can join and I can take part in the conversation. And a few years ago, it turned out that even I could contribute. So what you see here is a group photo that we took in Vienna last year in June at WordCamp Europe. WordCamp Europe 2016 happened in Vienna. There were more than 2,000 people in that square. Of course, this happened at the end. There was a conference before. Because event organizers, people that they have skills that are not just code, can contribute helping others to get together. And the next one will be in Paris in June. We're expecting more than 3,000 people and we're almost sold out with tickets. If you're interested, talk to me later or just go to the website. It's an amazing experience because you get together with others. And many of these people, they have a business running on WordPress. So I want to give you a few takeaways and then we can have a conversation because I'm sure you have a few questions. So the first one is when we think about dematerialized markets, we need to rethink ownership and we need to rethink contribution. We're not selling oranges. We're not selling cars. If you create content, if you work in the news market, if you create anything that is not a material object, you cannot rely on the same model of people that they build objects. It doesn't work that way. We can pretend that. We can pretend that an article has a label with the same price that you can find on a piece of clothing in the shop, but it doesn't work that way. So we need to rethink that. It's a common saying that people don't want to buy a drill. They want to buy a 1/4-inch hole in their wall so they can hang a picture, right? But we have to buy the drill because it's the only way to do it. Well, in Vienna, I don't have a car, but I drive cars every day, almost every day, because next to the transportation system, I also rent cars, and I rent cars by the minute. I pick my phone, I choose a car from the street, there are services, and I jump on the car, drive, and I pay by the minute. Well, those companies, they produce cars, and they have producing cars for 100 years. And they used to sell cars the same way. And then at some point they realized that the only way to put me behind the wheel and pay for it was to sell the car by the minute, and not as a physical object itself. So they realized that the only thing I care is to go from point A to point B. So when we provide a service, we need to make sure that we are solving someone's problem. And the problem cannot just be, I need to make a living. The problem needs to be someone else that has a need, and we solve that need. And then I strongly encourage you, whatever business you do, to embrace a global distribution. Even when you work on something very local, even if you work on a local news feed, there are things that they need to happen on a global scale. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to find a critical mass that will help you to monetize and make a living out of it. So this is another story I want to tell you, but I'm not going to tell it myself. I'm just going to give you a few bits. So her name is Alicia.
It started because I had a dream of owning my own coffee shop in the year 2000. I was working with Blockbusters. And basically, after working and seeing that the group was eliminating blight and cleaning up and fixing up, it just made sense that, okay, after we clean up and fix up, don't we all supposed to come together and talk and be a community? So I was like, oh, I would love to have a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And so my dream was to have this. And although I had the dream and the vision, it was a group of individuals that helped. It was everybody. Artists, poets, musicians, volunteers from universities, corporate America. Everybody joined in to produce something that eventually became the Artist Village.
So Alicia lives in Detroit, and the city of Detroit, after the global crisis, was really hit really hard. And there are entire areas of Detroit that they look like ghost towns. And many people that live in the other areas, they would never go to those districts. No, can I have the black screen, please? So, okay. So many people would not go to those areas unless they do what every of us does when we want to go to a restaurant or a coffee shop or anywhere. What is the first thing you do when you want to go somewhere? You Google it on your phone, just to check if the address is correct, so you put on the navigation and you go there. But if those businesses, they are not on the map, they do not exist. So this other person, his name is Haj Flemings. He is running this project called Rebrand Detroit, and his purpose is to bring back those communities and make sure that those communities, they find support again and they can flourish again. And so Haj did something with us recently.
What are we going to try to do? So what are we going to do next 24 hours?
So in the next 24 hours, we want to get 1 to 2 websites online and actually put businesses on the grid.
Okay.
So we're starting with ground zero. We have a business in a neighborhood, a business owner with a great business idea. Next thing is that we want to make it visible to people all over the world.
Okay, let's try that.
So we sent a few developers, a few theme designers to Detroit, to Haj. They run a hackathon for a day or two, and the plan was just that. They were taking business owners that they had coffee shops or restaurants in areas that they needed help, and those people were not tech savvy enough to establish their own website, and we provided the website for them. We helped them to design the website, and we make it happen. And 24 hours later, they had their website. And this is Alicia's website, the Motor City Java House. And, well, this is how she reacted.
All you have to do is just go up there and just type in just Java House. There we go. It's already in there. We can just return. And so we can scroll down.
Oh my God. Wait, you don't have to touch. I'm sorry.
Thank you, my daughter right there trying to scroll down.
Oh, look at that. That's your artwork. It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
Looks better on the screen. No. It does.
Oh my God. So just go here.
Yeah, I see. What do we have?
Now, is this easy for her to update? Like if she changes her
Yeah, she can.
Well, that's what we're going to make
Oh
sure
my
there's
God.
some basic things
What do you
that
think?
can do.
I love it.
So you can click on About Motor City. So there's Artist Village little link.
Village, and we'll be getting into a little more thing. Photos. If we go click here, then it shows a little bit about Artist Village.
Oh, nice.
So the people can experience it. Because what we found from coming over here is that it's more than just Java House.
Oh, yeah.
And so the next iteration of this.
So when we think about a website, many of us just think about our blog or the newspaper that we read. But we need to think that websites, they change lives and they change communities. So we want to provide that with WordPress. We want to provide that to everybody. Because the ultimate goal of WordPress is to democratize publishing, which just means that everybody, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, no matter the language they speak, no matter the abilities or disabilities they have, should be possible for them just to have their ideas and their businesses and their lives available to their market, to their community, and to their friends. So, my name is Luca Sartoni. I work at WordPress.com, and you can find this presentation on luca.blog. You can also find amazing people just in the room next door. One is here, two are there, others are at the booth. If you want to talk about WordPress, you can ask questions right now. You can go to them right after. We're going to be here all week. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm ready to take your questions if you have any. Well, if you don't start with questions, I start with questions. So I highly encourage you to have one. So how many of you use WordPress for their job? Up, 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 up. Well, it looks like more than 27 of the room, right? 27% of the room. How many of you are journalists? I mean journalists, not publicists. That was a very, very subtle joke. So journalist or anyone related with creating news, like publishing news? Editors or publishing houses? Good. How many of you have their core business based on WordPress, their website? Good. How do you like it?
Scusa se rispondo in italiano, ma tanto sei di Ravenna e io sto oltre il Verghereto di pochi chilometri, quindi ci capiamo. Mi trovo bene, chiaramente la tua è una presentazione generale sulle funzioni offerte da WordPress, in realtà è un ecosistema, hai usato sto termine, molto più ampio, molto più articolato, e gli strumenti su misura poi si trovano tramite i plugin, tramite temi che possono essere per l'appunto acquistati. Tu hai fatto riferimento a quelli gratuiti, ma in realtà per un uso professionale ci sono tanti temi a pagamento, e quindi questa è una piattaforma sicuramente indispensabile, la più veloce da usare anche per spiegarla a un collaboratore. Ecco, io credo che sia questa la forza della piattaforma, che non ha bisogno di essere raccontata.
Well, it's good to tell people. I think that it's good to. I disagree on the fact that it should not be told. I think it's always good to tell it, and I think that the opera of showing that more and more, so the hard job that the meetups and WordCamps are doing, it's amazing. And I agree with you. Many of the themes that are actually needed to run a solid business, they come from the premium side of the ecosystem, and that side of the ecosystem is very functional to the ecosystem itself, because all of us need to have to make a living out of it. And I'm really happy that there are people that they develop themes and plugins, and they do that with commercial purposes. Of course, many of us also recontribute back to the community, and that is the real value, because everybody should be involved in this process. Any question from that area? Now I'm going to make that man really mad because I'm going to walk down the aisle.
Giusto una cosa interessante, io ho una cooperativa che fa produzioni audiovisive, ci occupiamo di comunicazione, e una cosa che noto, che hai sollevato tu, il fatto di concentrarsi sui contenuti, in realtà per noi che non ci occupiamo di costruire siti web, permette ai nostri clienti di spostare parte del budget che magari serviva per costruire un sito web tradizionale più complesso, quindi con molto lavoro dietro, parte di quel budget lo spostano sui contenuti, quindi banalmente per noi, nella nostra esperienza, e questa cosa vedo che è un trend che è in aumento ed è interessante per noi, perché occupandoci di produrre i contenuti che poi finiscono dentro quei canali di comunicazione, tra cui il sito, si aprono delle prospettive. Questo volevo giusto aggiungere.
Well, thank you for your contribution. So I don't know if it's needed for me to translate it. I just do it for the English live streaming, that they would not get the translation otherwise. Well, he says that focusing on the content also allows allows companies that they rely on creation of content, and they have clients themselves, and the budget that the client have can also be pushed towards content more than just the creation of the website. Is that correct? Good. I would take just one more question, and then we're over with the time. So if you have just a slight doubt on anything, this is your time to throw it. Chrissy, you have a question, right?
Could you go on a little more about the individual that has no other access to a voice, and allow how many professionals and developers and...
Okay, back in the days, if you wanted to have, but even now, if you want to have a solid presence, if you want to have your ideas out, you needed a platform for that ideas to be out. And the platform requires a stack of technologies that they were developed in the last 25, 30 years, that they go from the cable that runs towards between buildings, bringing data, to data centers, servers within data centers, all the stack of technology within the server, and none of us alone can actually do that. There are companies that they sell it, as said, as a software as a service, and WordPress.com is one of them. But if you don't want to have to deal with those companies, so let's say you want to be truly independent, you don't want to depend on a single company that provides you the opportunity to express your ideas. Free software allows you that. Free software allows you to have your own server at home with free software from the grounds up, from the system to the middleware to the final web server and WordPress and many other free softwares on top. WordPress is not the only one, and it would be very, very selfish to say that WordPress is the only one that does that. There are many other free softwares that are amazing and they work really well, that they can do that for you. WordPress is the one that has the largest adoption and is the one that has the largest community. And when you run something that important, that can be your own business or just your ideas, it makes total sense to do it on a service that is that adopted. Because every time there is a security issue, there is an entire community providing support, providing patches and security patches. Every time you need support, there are endless fields of forums where you can go and post your question and someone will answer that question for free. There is an entire community of people that they spend their time answering support questions on forums for free just because they like providing that support.
Buongiorno a tutti, Daniele D'Amico, giornalista e blogger. Allora, una domanda. Secondo te in cosa può migliorare WordPress come piattaforma? E rispetto alla SEO, della quale hai fatto un piccolo accenno, se ci potevi dare qualche consiglio sui contenuti, e poi l'ultimissima, lo consigli anche la tua e-commerce, perché di norma lo si usa rispetto a questioni giornalistiche, comunque di blog. Per quanto riguarda l'e-commerce, comunque diciamo che la concorrenza è forte. Se riesci a dare una risposta completa, grazie.
So there are 3 questions, if I got it right. So one was how WordPress can get better. The other one was can I give you a few SEO tips? And the third one was, would I recommend WordPress for e-commerce? So the first one, how can we make WordPress better? Contributing. And all of us have an idea on how to make something better. That can go from, I need a specific translation of this part because the translation is not perfect, to, well, I know how to solve that problem better than it is. So contributing, getting in touch with the WordPress community on make.wordpress.org is the best way to get WordPress better for the future. Then my particular opinion about how can WordPress get better. WordPress is very involved with accessibility. Every single minute that is dedicated to accessibility makes WordPress better, more inclusive, and better in general. Question 2. My advice for SEO. Extremely simple, extremely high level. Provide value to the people. Provide value to the people. Every time you write a piece of content of any sort, ask yourself, is this helping anybody except myself? Because when you write that content and that content is only serving you, you're not creating any value for anyone, in the long term it's not going to work. If that piece of content works, will be found by search engines just with a little bit of technicalities, choosing the right words maybe, using the right platform, fine. But those are just technicalities. Solve people's problems before solving your keywords problems. Question 3, would you recommend WordPress for e-commerce? Yes, I would recommend WordPress and WooCommerce on top, and then you're ready to go and sell anything you want. Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm around for the rest of the week. Visit our booth. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you.